Cast number 2, as promised, we're continuing. In the previous video, we have done a Google search for an image by searching by size. We found an appropriate image. We changed the resolution to 300. We then resampled the image down in size to the assignment requirement, and we have made it a smart object. And so if you look at your layer panel here, this is the image. You can see that it is a smart object by looking at that little icon that's kind of a document within a document. And now we're going to pull this image, this smart object, into our assignment blank document, which we call in this class a host document. And it's called the host document because it's going to host all the different images in our collage. It's not a technical term, it's just what we decided to call it for this class. So to start a host document, think of it as it's just a blank document that has been created by going to Control N or Command N for new document. Up comes the new document size. Remember, I'm going to ignore whatever's over here, which is a bunch of different sizes, and I'm going to go over to the right-hand side of the window. And the first thing you do is change, if it says pixels or anything else, make sure it says, scroll down to inches. You must do this before you change any of the numerical dimensions, because you can't do it afterwards. And in fact, if you forget and it's gone crazy, check that you've done it correctly. So we're on inches. I'm going to make, so our host document for this assignment is 11 inches wide by 8.5 inches high. And we always work in 300 pixels per inch resolution, and we're going to keep it at RGB, and we're just going to say create. And this creates our blank host document. And right now it's called Untitled 2. If you want to be smart, if you start getting confused by all these different images that might be open at the same time, it might be smart to save it as a name now. But for right now, it's a blank document. And what we're going to do is we want to pull the Disney Hall image over onto our host document. So there's a couple ways to do this. I think the easiest way to do it in terms of just simplicity is you want to arrange the windows. These are tabs, right? These are the two tabs of the two open files. And to see them both at the same time, you go to Window, Arrange, and Tile All vertically. And it will put all the images just as it's saying. It's going to tile them all vertically across. And as you have more images, it will be, you'll see smaller and smaller sections of it. But very simply, you're going to click on your image, in this case the Disney Hall image. Notice that I am on the layer. The layer is selected. And I just take my Move tool. You have to be in the Move tool. And I simply put my cursor with the Move tool in the middle of the image and just drag it over to the other window. And it might ask for that if it's asking for a dimension. That's all there is. And now, it is now on your host document, and it is on its own layer. In fact, I'm going to click this background layer, and I'm actually going to delete it, because I just want to see the Disney Hall for right now. And we're going to continue to do this, and we're going to open up all the different images. Like I'm going to put the background in here so that I get a sense of the background. And again, if I wanted to make this a little bit smaller, it's been sized correctly, it's a smart object, I can go to Control T, which I just did, and it brings up this boundary box, and then hold your Shift key down, move your cursor on one of the anchors on the corner diagonally, and it will proportionally scale it down, which you're absolutely fine to do for this project if that's what you want. And because it's a smart object, you can go back up again. Now, you don't want to go way up beyond the size that it was. And the way to check that, so you remember that it was 4 inches tall. You can go up here when you're in the Transform tool and look at the numbers. See how it says width and height, and it says 78.25%? That means right now you've got it scaled at 78% of its actual size. So you'd never want to go beyond 100, right? So 146 is not good. But you can go 100% and down, and you're good to go. And then to apply the scale, you just hit the Return or the Enter key. And that will allow you to move on. So let's now open up another file, which I've already downloaded from Google, I've got a couple of Google folders here. I believe this is on my desktop, so I'm going to go here, and I have this plywood image that I wanted to put on my background, and I have not sized this yet. So I'm opening it up. Again, I have it side by side, which it doesn't need to be right at this moment, and if you don't like it, if the side by side is driving you crazy, go back to Arrange and go to Consolidate all to Tabs. And now I'm going to check the image size because I don't remember where I was with this one. So I'm going to Control Option I, and I haven't sized this one at all. It's still at 72. So remember the drill. Unclick Resample. Change just the resolution up to 300 and say OK. Oh, and look at that. That's amazing. It's exactly the size I want. This never happens, but we're going to say OK. That's pretty significant. And what are we going to do next? So let me just, I actually can't believe that. It's exactly 11 by 8.5. That's perfect. And we're going to double click on the layer and rename it. I'm putting in plywood background to be very specific. And I'm going to make it a smart object. So just right click, convert to smart object. And now I actually want to go back to Arrange, Tile All Vertically because it makes it easier for me to see. And I'm here on the plywood, and it's sometimes hard to see, but this, when you see the tab is a little bit lighter in color, that means that you are on that particular file. And I'm just going to put my Move tool right in the middle of the plywood and move it over to my Untitled 2, which is my host document. And there it goes. I'm going to position it with the Move tool. And if you notice the little pink lines, they're going to help you position it a little bit. There you go. And it's obscuring the Disney Hall, so all you do on your layer panel, oops, ignore that. That was my computer backing itself up, or not backing up. So anyway, back to the layers. You're going to pull the plywood background underneath Disney Hall on the layer stack, and we're beginning to do our assignment. So what I'm actually going to do at this point, because I think I might get confused, is I'm going to save this document. And you can go to Command S, and we're changing it from Untitled to, I'm going to call it 1 Hail PSD, and that's the way you're actually going to name your assignment. It's always going to be the number of the assignment and your last name. And I'm going to make a new folder on my desktop that is the assignment files, and I'm going to save it there. And there we go. And now that's nice, and I know where things are, and that's good to go. So I now can close the plywood JPEG. If you want to save it for safekeeping, you could always save it as its new resize size. Same with Disney Hall. But once you've got it in the assignment file, you've got this sized that way. Then you have the smart object that can be moved and shared with any other file. So I actually usually keep a backup, but because we're doing a quick video, we're going to do one more. Command O, I'm going to open up another image I'd found, which was, let's go to the Dr. Martens product shot. So this, I don't believe I've sized yet. So I'm going to go to Command Option I or Control Alt I. And yes, I have not size this. So again, with the drill, resample is already off. That's good. Now I change it to 300, and notice that it's 2.88 inches, which is okay for our assignment. I'm going to show you one thing that we didn't go over in class just for kicks. There's a lot of white space here that maybe I don't really want to see, and you can go to the crop tool. And to go to the crop tool, you go to the letter C, or it's the third one down here on this list. And the crop tool, there's a bunch, we're going to talk about the crop tool a lot next week, but if you click on ratio, which means that it just can be cropped by pulling these little side handles in. And what you want to do is just pull it in nice and so that, because we know we're going to see that white background on this assignment. And once you like what you've got, we're going to hit the return button to apply that. Now again, I want to check my size. So I'm still fine. It's 2.3 inches wide, which is fine, I believe, for the assignment. So we're going to say OK. And now, again, with the drill, rename your layer. So I'm going to call it red shoes. And I'm going to make it a smart object, convert it to a smart object. And I'm going to go back up to arrange tile all by vertically. And now I just have the two. I've got my assignment host document there, and I've got this one. Now notice that when I click on the red shoes, it's still got the, see how it's really funky? It's got a funny kind of boundary around it. It means I'm still on the crop tool. So you want to make sure you get out of the crop tool. You can click the move tool, or you could hit escape, and that will get you out of the crop tool. But you want to be in the move tool anyway. Make sure you're on the layer. You're over on your red shoes, and you're pulling them over to the assignment file, and there they are. And you can see it has its own layer. And that's what you do to continue all the way through your assignment. I hope that helps. Let me know if it doesn't. And this is me signing off for the video for the assignment number 1. Good luck.